this weekend, all the crazy things I did tonight, those be the best memories. We have the determined Dan Argueta. He's taking on Damon Jackson, the Leech, on incredibly short notice, replacing Darrick Minner. Everybody likes Darrick Minner. And realistically, for the former, and I should say current, but he's going to have to vacate the belt, the LFA Bantamweight champ, Dan Argueta. It really is an interesting one. I mean, listen, he looks like if Aaron Jeffrey was evolved, I guess Dan Argueta, if you really kind of grabbed him and made him bigger, he's Aaron Jeffrey, Bellator's own. Or you can consider Dan Argueta in the way that he fights, because he did shave that lovely mop of hair for his LFA return. Because for Argueta, he looked like that with the hair when he went on The Ultimate Fighter, the latest season. Not the one that's taping right now, but season 29. Took on Ricky Tercios, lost by unanimous decision. That's the only L, so to speak, close to proximity in his pro record. 8-0 as a pro. Goes back to LFA. Rings off 3 straight wins. The guy's as serious as a Questrade commercial. Questrade. Aaron Jeffrey.
I play games, just not with my money. Okay.
That's the second Canadian reference. The third Canadian reference for you folks out there. You guys are going to love this one. Dan Argueta. The nickname's The Determined. It's like a Cora's menu item. Like Lewis the Undecided is a breakfast item you can get at Cora's. Dan the Determined. Pick a new nickname. It's awful, Matt. But Dan Argueta, lots of parts of his game that I like. He's a main training partner of Cub Swanson. However, he's a Jackson Wing staple. And when I look at Dan Argueta, he is a 2-time Illinois AAA state qualifier in wrestling. And when you watch him fight, he reminds me a hell of a lot of Cody Stamann.
So why is he fighting Damon Jackson in his UFC debut?
Because they needed a warm body.
And I understand, but that's the thing. Damon Jackson, I feel like, the rap amongst MMA fans looks at Damon Jackson as just another guy. I don't feel like we do give him the flowers he deserves, and I don't think Damon Jackson, to put into NBA terms, is like an all-star by any means. And like, he's probably a guy coming off the bench you really like, though. He's like Jordan Clarkson.
The guy's 24-1 with a no contest.
And none of his fights have ever been boring. And that's the thing about Damon Jackson. He doesn't get tired as the fight goes on. He doesn't have a single part of his game that is a massive weakness.
Striking defense,
but he has a great chin and his own striking is really good. And he has really good cardio. And that's the big thing I always go back to. 9 times out of 10 when we see a fighter struggle against someone making their debut, it's the fighter who already had the full game plan, already had the full camp, already normally has cardio issues going into that fight, and it's something that this new person can take advantage of. Damon Jackson can drag anybody into deep waters. I don't care who they are. He could drag a shark into deeper waters. That's how good Damon Jackson's gas tank is. So I do worry, if Argueta can't get him down early on in this fight and just really impose his will, I don't know how Jackson can't just continue to volume strike forward. Just threaten enough with a few defensive submissions here or there. Just keep the fight at his own pace.
Dan Argueta. He was the number 1 pick of Team Ortega. Brian Ortega had a bad picks that year. He was awful compared to Volkanovski. It's like he didn't do his homework and he was focused on the belt. Cortez? I don't know. Whatever. But when it does come down to Argueta, you look at those 3 wins that he had over with LFA very, very recently, 7 months ago. A win over Rodney Mandela, who's 6-3. Then he beats Myron Santos. And in that fight, his opponent was very, very young. He gets a win in that one. Then he takes on Diego Silva for the belt, wins by split decision. This is my takeaway from those 3 fights and the rest of Dan Argueta's career. Does he have a wrestling advantage over 99% of the guys that he fights? 110%. Power wrestler. I made the Cody Stamann reference because
Alex Munoz, perhaps?
Stamann pops in and out of the pocket, and he's not super hittable. He's become more hittable as his career's gone on. But in and out of the pocket, Argueta's very fast, but he can wrestle, and he can chain it together and hold guys down, really impose his will. But when I look at his last fight against Mr. Silva, I had Silva round 1, and I had Silva round 2, and in a 3-round fight, that's all that matters. And for Argueta, he is a developing striker. I think that California connection away from Jackson Wink is good for him, but he has got to be one of the most hittable prospects I've ever seen. He just stands there and eats shots. And you heard the commentary team with LFA in his last fight in the second round go, well, it was Alan Joban, to be specific. He's got to bring his hands up. He's got to move his head. He's got to stop eating these shots and walking into them. And it's very troubling to see that. Then going up a weight class on a week's notice against Damon Jackson. Is Damon Jackson the best fight you've ever seen? Not necessarily. 24-1 with a no contest. Obviously, the no contest, he got beat, but it was overturned, and one of his knockout losses, one of the most disgusting or coolest knockouts you've ever seen against eventual PFL champ Mavlid Haibulev. But for Jackson, I get it. The one loss in the UFC in the return, said 2 stints, is to Ilia Topuria, who's disgusting in the short range when it comes to his wrestling. But the wins, Mirsad Bektic, that was a comeback, pretty good submission win. The win over Charles Rosa, where he's leaking blood in the 3rd round and they let it go. And then his win over Cam Wallachurk. Cam Wallachurk's a hell of a fighter. I like Cam Wallachurk more than the average
I don't know
bear.
if he's a hell of a fighter just because you like him, though.
I think it's like a Renaissance, New Age version of like a, I don't know, pick a guy. Carlos Condit's my comp. I like the body kicks. Kind of looks like him a little bit. But Damon Jackson is a finisher to the nth degree, especially when it comes to taking the fight to the ground. And he's good off his back. And he's a lot bigger than Dan Argueta. I have a hard time seeing Damon Jackson like losing this fight.
This isn't a UFC entry-level opponent, I don't think. Maybe you think of Damon Jackson that way, but personally I don't. I just think it's almost like Daniel Rodriguez when you give him a UFC debut. It's just, there's some people who are too well-rounded and too experienced to just give somebody off the street. And again, not that Argueta's just coming off the street, but I do worry about him in this fight against Damon Jackson, who doesn't have that one weakness that you can just fall on and think, hey, as long as he can get him down early, he should have success. Like you said, Damon Jackson can grapple off his back, and I do expect him to do quite a bit of that in this fight early on, but I do think he'll be able to defend those takedowns as the fight progresses and just get his own striking off as this fight goes on.
All the crazy things I did tonight, those would be the best memories. For Argueta, opens a plus 170 underdog, plus 334 at the time of this taping on Monday night. For Damon Jackson, minus 200 all the way up to a minus 450. We have a look at the Tapology votes. Surprised us there to you. I threw this one out there on our Instagram, and a few people said, hey, I like the prospect, but I'm going to say over under 85% Jackson.
I'll say over.
And it is slightly under. 859 total votes, 83% Jackson. A large 65% by submission for the 17% that have Argueta. 49% by decision, 27% by knockout. If Dan Argueta knocks out Damon Jackson, I'll do a shot of, I don't know, Magnum 357 hot sauce. I have some of that here. If it happens, I'd be very surprised. I have Jackson to win this fight. Stay away from it. Again, Argueta fought a 5-round title fight 3 weeks ago. So cardio, you know it's going to be there. But hopping up to 145, I think Jackson's going to get the win.
I expect Daniel Argueta to be around for a little while in the UFC. I just don't think this is going to be his night, because this is a huge step up in competition and up a weight class, like you had said. So I do like Damon Jackson quite a bit in this fight.
Neither one of us going with the smaller iteration of Erin Jeffrey. We both have the Leech. Damon Jackson to get the win. Let us know down below in the comments section who you have in this matchup in a big-time pairing at featherweight. We get some big-time fights left on this card that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.